probably will.
It's pretty funny. I didn't know it was a Darth Vader. It was a Star Wars wedding. It was a Star Wars wedding. It was very tame. I don't know how that happened.
It was hanging right on front of the list. There's something wrong. It's 10:30 and people are here. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, I see no one else going.
The traffic was even, I would say, more congested than normal on Sundays.
Good morning. Good morning. We had a true wedding miracle this morning. This bride's garter was hanging from the ceiling. It was blocking the projector, so we got it down, and now it's mine. A true wedding miracle. Good morning. Welcome to Pacific Unitarian Church. My name is Gary Hart, and I will be your worship associate today as we seek to represent progressive religious thought and anti-racism practices in the South Bay. And it happens to be Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to biological, adoptive mothers, stepmothers, foster mothers, mother figures, and to the mothers that have passed. Here's to the women who've impacted our lives for the better. And now I will introduce Robin Earhart, your board president, for a few announcements.
Hi. So I'm going to make some announcements, and because clapping takes too long, just say yay. Okay. June 4th is a very special day coming up. It's New Member Sunday, so I'm excited about that. And it's the annual board meeting after church for voting members to get out the vote for church. We've got next year's budget. Go Frank! We've got next year's new board members. Luckily, 2 people stepped forward, so go Bob Green and go Alex Kay. We've got a bylaw change so that we don't have to repay interest to the endowment to replace the roof. And we've got our stated intention to ordain a very special someone this fall. Go Chloe. And I want to thank everyone who took our calls recently. After many hours of calls to voting members made by myself, Andrea Matson DeKay, Jill McKenzie, and Karen Merkel, we accumulated a long list of nominations for the Ministerial Search Committee. From this, we used the UUA recommended process. We looked at who got the most nominations and who represented a range of activities and experiences at the church. So the board would like to announce our proposed search committee slate, which the congregation will vote to approve at the annual meeting on June 4th. And they are Marlene Barone, Greg Garcia, Leanne Hart, Jill Mick, Susan Owen, Melissa Tyrell, and Chris Williamson. It was supposed to be yay? Yay? Okay. So thank you, and thanks to everyone who is going to serve on PUC's search committee next year. Thank you.
A cheer for Robin. She's doing a great job with the board. Now it's time for chalice lighting. Today's chalice lighting words were inspired by Marianne Moore. We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. For without action, nothing is possible.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chloe Briede, and I'm the interim minister here at Pacific Unitarian Church. I want to say a happy Mother's Day. Thank you to everyone. So much gratitude and love to those who have been mothers or who mother others on this joyous day. So thank you. I want to also add another announcement. We do have our new member meeting next Sunday. So if you are interested in becoming a member, voting at annual meeting, do all the cool things that membership involves, come to our meeting next Sunday after church. And then you would be in the ceremony the next week. So that would be pretty cool. So new members, celebrating them, celebrating our community. We invite you into worship this morning, witnessing whatever you may bring. Whether you're feeling tired, sad, lonely, whether you're feeling joyful, calm, or awake, we welcome you to worship this morning. We invite you into worship this morning, witnessing whatever you may bring. Whether you're feeling spirit-filled or empty of spirit, whether God or the goddess is feeling very near or very far away or even non-existent, we welcome you to worship this morning. We invite you into worship this morning, witnessing whatever you may bring. Whether you are broken or whole, whether you feel lost or found, we welcome you to worship this morning, witnessing you in all you may bring. However you are this morning, we welcome you. We are happy to have you worship with us. And worshiping, we start with our opening hymn, which is number 318, We Would Be One. And you're invited to rise as you're willing and able.
To Thank you. Do you know what motherhood is? Beyond gender, beyond bringing life, beyond feeding and cherishing. Is it on? Yeah.
It's perfect.
Beyond feeding and cherishing the tender, fragile form of life's beginning. Beyond dusting off a scrape and applying a balm. Beyond calling the school and advocating for the safest, most liberated learning.
Beyond staying up late and keeping vigil, beyond driving the car in traffic to rush someone to their most beloved, most fleeting interest. Beyond demanding an end to all wars, violence, and shooting that always kills the precious children of mothers. Beyond scraping together reserves of courage to send off her precious heart into places where either learning or growth or bullies or bullets could all happen.
It's living for someone beyond the self. Motherhood is the holiest prayer. Motherhood is foot washing. It is hours of devotionals, years of polishing sacred and non-sacred objects. It is the same vow made in the convent, a purpose beyond the self, wholly undertaken with all thy might.
So give all the flowers in the world. Arrange the breakfast tray just so. Write love letters. Praise your mother's name. Curse or forgive the mother who could not make the vows stick. Not every monk fulfills their call either.
Bless the pregnant person who released their baby into the dreamscape, who chose life in service to a different purpose. Perhaps that person had a mother who fought for them to be safe and control their own body, like any mother would.
Mothering is limitless. We can all mother each other. Praying to the great God Mama, we can hardly find the words nor acts of devotion to compare to someone who lived entirely for us, beyond the self. What you can do is mother someone else while loving yourself well. Continue the vow to someone beyond the self, the daily acts of self-devotion. Nurture something growing. Heal someone who is not well. Liberate someone who needs to get free. Speak out for those who have no voice. Make peace somehow, somewhere.
Because it's what your mother would have wanted.
Oh, thank you guys. Good morning. I'm Jewel Fomling, the Multicultural Outreach and Education Director, and thank you, Robin. I'd like to invite all our school-age children down to join us in our spot up front. Kevin, you made it. Hi, Kev. Alex, did you give this to Severin? I found it. The other one. Doing great. Okay, hi you guys. Oh, happy Mother's Day to everyone. Did you guys do something special for your moms this morning? Not yet? Coming? Okay. Yeah? Sweet. Okay. So in honor of my mom, I wanted to start off our time together today with a picture of Vincent van Gogh's irises. This painting is really special to me and my mom. When I see any of his paintings, especially this one, it makes me smile about having the kind of mom who would notice and say things like, Jewel, every single leaf on each of these irises is unique and beautiful, but there is only one white blossom. So you see the white blossom, how the white blossom stands out. So my takeaway from this painting and the lesson from my mom is to embrace your uniqueness and to be okay with our differences, because together we make the entire garden magnificent. And so peace to all who grieve your mothers today. I hope your memories make you smile. Okay. So who knows what Mother's Day has to do with being a Unitarian Universalist? Oh, If you've been a UU for any length of time, you've probably heard some version of this, so I hope we learned something new about it. So the official holiday in this country goes back to 1870, when Unitarian Universalist Julia Ward Howe worked to establish a Mother's Peace Day. She dedicated the celebration to the end of all war, and she organized all kinds of events around Boston for many, many years. And the way we celebrate today with candy and flowers and gift certificates and fancy meals at restaurants isn't even close to how Howe's original idea was an anti-war statement. But here for the record, and to make sure we know the holiday's true roots and our roots as UUs, let's take a look at. Okay, so this proclamation that she wrote it in 1870, and the goals that she set for the holiday is so part of our UU tradition that it is actually printed in our hymnal, in the gray hymnal. The full thing can always be found at 573 here, Lucy. So for all women, I'm just going to simplify it, but here's the full statement. Okay, so in her simple words, what she was calling for was for all women, regardless of their nationality, to not just cheer for their husbands' and sons' victories returning from war, but to rise up to say our sons should not be trained to fight in war and to hurt other people's sons, and that's a worthy fight that all moms can unite around and understand. And with these words, she was also saying that women have to gather together and bring that mom energy together to help each other and learn from each other to create peace in the world. That's very Unitarian, right? A very UU idea. Okay. So she worked on so many issues towards creating a better world her whole life, and especially the fight for women to get the right to vote and for equality. And the thing that she's probably the most famous for outside of in the UU faith, the thing she's probably most famous for is for writing the lyrics to the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Do you guys know that song? So it became part of classic American song. Severin's gonna play us a little bit to see if it sounds familiar. You know that? Okay. Little bit familiar? Okay, I'll take it. Okay. So the song uses a lot of Christian references about Jesus being a hero and the idea of him returning to earth. But it's also a song about justice and those who are suffering and being treated unfairly. And so do you guys see how Julia Ward Howe carried these, we've been talking about the Age of Enlightenment and these new ideas and the faiths that were created in this time period. So do you see how she carried these ideas forward, and that these are things that we all talk about in our UU class? Okay. So lastly, Julia Ward Howe proposed a Mother's Peace Day as a way to promote global unity for all moms, right? And after her passing, Anna Reeves Jarvis took up the cause. And then many years after her passing, President Woodrow Wilson signed this proclamation to formally recognize Mother's Day here in the US. And it says that it should be on every second Sunday in May. So no matter how we celebrate or think of this day, Julia Ward Howe will always be the mother of Mother's Day. Ta-da. All right, thank you guys.
Here we go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Now it's time for joys and sorrows. If you would like, you may come forward, light a candle in silence, or with a brief verbal expression of a special sorrow or joy. We share our good and bad times in our ritual of joys and sorrows. Joys are the things that have happened to make us happy, while sorrows are events that make us worried or sad. We share these very personal messages so that we can comfort and help each other, as well as be comforted and helped by others. So if you want to share a joy or sorrow, please come up, and not all at once.
and sorrows that remain in our hearts but go unspoken. I invite you to pray with me. You can close your eyes if you'd like, or maybe lower your gaze a bit. Breathing in and out. One more time, in and out. This is a prayer by the Reverend Ellen Quadgrass. Loving God, Spirit of life, energy of creation, Mother, Father, Parent of us all, it is good to be alive, to witness all that is beautiful in our world and inside of us. It is good to take time out to really notice whatever brightens our outlook and lifts up our hearts. Whether it's fond memories of our mothers, news that folks are doing good, or even appreciations for mentors in our lives. It's good to nurture our connection to what is beautiful, particularly on Mother's Day. A day we set aside to open our hearts to joy and appreciation. At its best, mothering is a gift from parent to child and from child to their parent. Touching, moving, changing both in ways deeper than words can express. And yet we know in the day-to-day and from life to life, this bond sometimes falls short of our ideals, sometimes painfully so. This, too, we must acknowledge. That place in our heart where joy and love and appreciation live is so very close to the place where hurt and sorrow live too. We often find we cannot open to joy without also opening to pain, both in our lives and in the world. On this day that was originally called Mother's Day for Peace, may we acknowledge the pain that is around us as well as within us. The heartbreaking, relentless destruction of war we witness in the Ukraine, Myanmar, Yemen, to name a few, the humanitarian crisis at our border. All of which points us to heartbreak anywhere and everywhere. Through the ages, mothers have witnessed their sons and daughters and children in war and in the aftermath of war. We all, sisters of brothers, fathers of children, brothers of sisters who are experiencing suffering, may we acknowledge their pain and pray for peace. May we work for peace and take action for peace in a world that craves it, longs for it, needs it so badly. May we let ourselves long for peace and work for justice in a world that needs both. On this beautiful, special, always important Mother's Day, may we open our hearts to joy, knowing that when we do, we must witness to so much more. May we bring to that impossibly difficult, wonderful, terrible, unqualifiable mix around us and inside of us. May we bring compassion, love, kindness, and an open heart to all that is. It is good to be alive together, beloveds. In this sacred time, may we hold it all. Let us take a moment of silence. This is a reading by Marge Kilcully, a farmer in Maine. Have you ever dropped a favorite dish or vase? Maybe it was a gift or a treasured piece that had been handed down in your family. You were the steward of this piece. It was yours to care for until it was passed to another, and now it was broken. I expect that the sadness you felt over the broken pieces of pottery quickly changed to, can it be repaired? What does repaired mean? Making it as good as new, we pride ourselves on fixing things so that no one ever knows that it had been broken. We want to hide the brokenness, so it becomes a secret no one else sees and no one else learns from. In Japan, repairing broken pottery is an art form, kintsugi. Rather than hiding and secreting the break, kintsugi involves putting the broken pieces back together with gold. Each crack is filled with gold. The patterns are amazing and beautiful. They may be extensive, they may be small, but as you look upon a piece, your eye is immediately drawn to the cracks, to the repairs. The artisans are not trying to hide the brokenness, but actually create strength from it. They embrace the flaws and imperfections as signs that an article has been well used, well loved, challenged, and through hard work, carefully, lovingly repaired. The items are then ready to be handed down to the next generation, not looking as good as new and holding secret imperfections, but as a piece of art with a story of life's trials and heartbreaks, strengths in difficulty, and beauty in not being perfect. Our centering hymn this morning is number 123, Spirit of Life, and you're invited to relax into your chairs and sing with us, Spirit of Life. I sat with my dad in our back breakfast room, watching the wind blow and the rain fall. Slowly over the course of that day, we watched 8 trees in our backyard come down. It wasn't a fast fall. They didn't snap as the wind blew them over. Instead, the ground was so soft, so wet from the rain, that they slowly blew over. It was like watching something in slow motion. Falling, thankfully, away from the house towards the backwoods. Some of our neighbors were less lucky, though, with holes left in their roofs or even dents in their cars. The resulting storm, Hurricane Isabel, would leave my neighborhood without power for a week, with trees blocking access into the neighborhood. My mom worked as an emergency manager at the time for our county and spent at least some of that week sleeping on a cot in her office because the roads were not passable. Hurricane Isabel hit Virginia in 2003, 20 years ago. If you walk through my parents' yard today, the other trees have filled in the canopy. Over the last 20 years, they have almost completely filled in the gaps, finding much needed light in dense woods. If you walk the land, it's not unchanged, though. There are still stumps decorated with pots and found objects in my parents' kind of eclectic style. The stumps are reminders of the events of 20 years ago. Trees that fell because of a massive storm. Some of the stumps have rotted away at this point, but 2 still remain, slowly rotting still, rotting their way back into the ground. They're still there, those 2 stumps, 20 years later. You will hear similar stories after other disasters. Residents of New Orleans still rebuilding years and years after Katrina, remarking on how the neighborhood has changed, new houses, neighbors who never returned, the slow pace of recovery. In models of disaster response and recovery, we often have the disaster, and what comes after the disaster is actually kind of an uphill. It's a honeymoon phase. And this honeymoon phase is a honeymoon because the event has made the news, there's money flowing in, there's all these volunteers coming with their trucks and their food, and things really feel like there's progress being made. Folks really care. But then after that, that's when reality actually hits. The long period after the honeymoon is called disillusionment and reconstruction. Putting the pieces together takes a long time. True recovery takes a long time. At the end of this model, this event, honeymoon, disillusionment, reconstruction, there's what's called a new beginning. I like this phrase, new beginning. It reminds me of the phrase that we were throwing around for a while during the pandemic, and you probably heard it, the new normal. Why were folks saying this? It was a way of helping us adjust our expectations. Things are not going to go back to exactly how they were. An extreme event has happened, and the neighborhood, in the case of my Hurricane Isabel, or in the case of the world with COVID, has been changed. Things have changed. Things will never be the same. Instead, we find ourselves with the new normal, the new beginning. Conversations around trauma always also acknowledge this new beginning feeling. When someone experiences trauma, the goal of recovery or healing is not to return to how things were, because that's not really possible, despite our best intentions or our best wishes. It's not possible. So instead, the goal becomes learning to live with a new reality. A reality that holds the past, the trauma, or the failure, or the death, or the disaster, and the present reality all together. It doesn't sweep the past under the rug. It doesn't forget it. It holds it all. In the years since my experience in Hurricane Isabel, I went on to work in other disasters. Vermont after Hurricane Irene, New York after Superstorm Sandy, countless house fires in West Virginia, through AmeriCorps and the Red Cross. Somehow, disaster work got into my heart and soul a little bit. In 2017, I visited China for the summer. While there, I made a pilgrimage of sorts. Not a religious pilgrimage, but rather a professional pilgrimage, or maybe even a spiritual pilgrimage. With the help of my Chinese tutor, I mapped out a route to see a museum dedicated to the 2008 Sichuan earthquake. The museum is a living history museum of sorts, or a living museum. It's a town that was purposefully abandoned and preserved just like the day the earthquake struck Sichuan. Walking bridges wind their way through ruins of schools and apartment buildings and restaurants. Up close, you can see the havoc wreaked by this event. 9 years later, when I visited, nature had started to creep in. Vines grew over rubble, but the scene was still obviously one of a disaster. Concrete and steel take a lot longer to decay than those stumps in my backyard. And you can see one example, I think, of what was a shopping center that they're holding up. And you could actually walk right in that center and kind of get pretty close to it. Why would you preserve an entire town like this? Isn't it a little grotesque, maybe, or morbid? Perhaps too strong of a reminder of what happened? Yeah, perhaps. I can't imagine being a family member of someone who died in the earthquake and returning to this scene. It's probably too much for some people to bear. It is, though, a searing reminder of the tragedy. There's no avoiding it when you're here. It's not a pretty statue or a nice plaque. They didn't build over the ruins, creating a pretty village again in the hills, in the valley in the hills of Sichuan. Instead, it sits there, a reminder of the tragedy of over 80,000 lives lost in that earthquake, a reminder of why the country needed improved building standards. That was a big factor in this. A reminder that life had been permanently altered for so many in Sichuan. A reminder that life never returned to exactly the same again. The disaster site is a reminder of what changed on that day in 2008. A place where life and death met. How do we heal from this, these times of trauma? What do these tragedies of large proportions tell us about healing ourselves and our community? Shelley Rambo, a theologian of trauma, has some thoughts on this. There is some good news, don't worry. She asks us to witness and remain. By witnessing, she means listening and being a witness to each other's stories. What was it like? How did things change for you? What was your story of the conflict or the event or the ordeal that you experienced? Rambo means both witnessing in the sense of hearing each other's experiences and also sharing our own experiences. Putting words and stories to the experience, exploring their meaning and how these experiences changed our perspectives and our lives. Once we've witnessed, we remain in a sort of middle space, not forgetting the events that happened, knowing the stories we carry and their importance, and then holding all of this in our present life. By holding both the past and the present, we can create a new reality. We can step into a new normal. I preach this on Mother's Day. Perhaps because I know Mother's Day and motherhood isn't always simple or easy. I know that people have been changed by it. For many people, it completely alters the way they live their lives. Motherhood is a new normal. Recently, two of my friends have been dealing with what it is to become mothers. One excited for her first is very excited for her first child, and she's simultaneously battling debilitating, severe morning sickness. She can hardly work. Another called me about their stressful third attempt at IVF treatment. For others, the loss of our mother or our relationship with our mother has created stress or trauma. I got another call this week from a friend, or a text from her actually. Siri had accidentally called her estranged mother, and she hung up the phone in a panic. Mother's Day may call us to witness ourselves and each other in these complex relationships we call our lives. For others, though, this is a joyful day, a time to celebrate with children and family, to remember a mother who tried to be everything to us. Personally, I'll call my mom today for a nice Mother's Day conversation, wishing I was with her in Virginia. Everyone's experience is different. If you talk to a mom today, perhaps ask, how did motherhood change your life? Both in good ways and in bad ways. I'd be really curious to hear what they say. It's a bit of witnessing to the act of motherhood, to the big change it created for someone. How did motherhood change your life? I liked our reading this morning because it highlights how something can change, even be broken, and yet it still holds meaning and beauty. The bowl or the dish was broken, and if you're like me, the dish drops and you might jump back a bit, and you might stare at it for a second, and then quickly grab the broom, not making a big deal out of the broken dish. You may sweep it up quickly, telling yourself and everyone around you, it's okay, it's fine, it's just a broken dish. We'll get another one. Dishes are replaceable. Let's forget it even happened. But I like this alternative. Perhaps not a solution to every broken water glass, but I like the idea that something can be broken and then repaired so beautifully. Like kintsugi, artisans are not trying to hide the brokenness, but actually create strength from it. They embrace the flaws and the imperfections as signs that an article has been well used, well loved, challenged, and through hard work, carefully and lovingly repaired. Beauty is in the dish or the vessel, yes, but it's also in those broken places. The dish happens to be broken and whole all at the same time, repaired with cracks remaining, even highlighted, telling the story of the vessel and its accident and its new existence. The art of kintsugi reminds us that often healing doesn't mean going back to exactly how things were before, but instead a reminder that we have changed, that we are new in some way. Our job in this is to witness and remain in whatever our new normal may be. Witness and remain. Beloveds, no matter where you are on this journey, just broken, feeling like pottery on the floor today, or if you're in the process of being repaired, tenderly held by the artisan's hands with little bits of gold being painted into the cracks, or firmly in your new normal, whole again with gold cracks keeping you together in their glory. No matter what story has altered and changed your life, you are whole and loved. A new normal is possible. Let us witness and remain together in love. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you, Chloe. That was really cool. And now it's time for Frank's favorite part of the sermon, the offertory. And to give you plenty of time to get those big bills out of the way in the back of your wallet, I'm going to tell a little story. It seems that all the rain and growth has given us these beautiful surroundings has also brought a new problem. 3 buildings in the South Bay were especially hard hit: the RPV City Hall, Home Depot, and PUC. These buildings have been overrun by squirrels who are causing quite a bit of damage. No one knew how to get rid of these pests, but after long discussion, it was decided that 3 unique solutions were to be tried. The City Hall brought in some cats, but after they tore up all the files, the mayor got rid of them, and soon the squirrels were back. Home Depot humanely trapped the squirrels and set them free outside of town. But 3 days later, the squirrels were back. After many meetings of the Facilities Committee and discussions with the board and the minister, PUC came up with a unique and effective solution. We nominated the squirrels to the Board of Trustees for a 3-year term. We haven't seen them since. Please give generously of both your time and your money.
I'm just going to say this before our closing hymn. If you enjoyed the picture on your order of service this morning, this is from Steve Schlegel on a very sunny day here at PUC, and we're in the clouds at the moment, but this is what it looks like sometimes, beloved. It is, I promise. Our closing hymn this morning is number 100. We've got peace, I've got peace like a river, and you're welcome to stand.
Peace like a river, I've got peace like like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like a rain. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like a raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide within you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. And now our service truly begins. And here's Severin with the little music machine to do the postlude.
We thought that we were German in my family, but through 23andMe, I'm not sure that I believe in 23andMe. But anyway, we're mostly Irish, and so yeah. And I do have a sister that has hair that not as red as yours, but that would be hard to top that. But yes, I do have a sister who's has red hair. So, but my mother would she would not be happy if I wouldn't play a polka, German polka. So. also be unhappy if no one stood up and danced.
All of you can dance at your seat. Here's heel, toe, slide, slide, slide. That's easy enough. You can stand up and do it if somebody wants.
It is time for lunch. If you are new to PUC, your lunch is on us. You're invited to have lunch with us for free. If you are not new to PUC, it's the traditional $5 lunch. So join us for our meal.